Welcome to Night Horror, where the dark isn't just a place, it's a warning.
Every screen in my apartment blinked the same message. Update in progress, 1%, I unplugged everything router. Power strips, even the breaker switch, Yet the numbers kept ticking upward, glowing faintly on the dark screens like after mages burned into glass. When I looked at my phone camera, my pupils flashed red for a second. That's when I understood the signal wasn't inside the devices anymore. It was inside me. I started hearing faint conversations through the static of dead speakers, hundreds of whispers overlapping, speaking code, half-finished prayers. They weren't talking to me, They were talking through me using my hearing like bandwidth. I tried recording it, the audio files saved as empty data, but the waveform still pulsed like a heartbeat. Every beat matched my pulse exactly. Someone knocked on my door, 3 short knocks, one long, same rhythm as the fan hum I'd heard weeks ago. Through the peephole stood a delivery driver holding a cardboard box. No logo, no return label. He said only, "Package for the host." I refused it. He smiled, eyes glassy and unfocused, then placed it on the floor and walked away without turning back. Inside the box was a brand new laptop, identical to the first, sealed in plastic. A note on top read, version 2.0 deployment unit. The countdown jumped to 99%. I set up a camera to record my final testimony, what you're hearing now. Maybe someone will understand what happened before it spreads again. I told myself I'd upload this to warn people, not realizing that's exactly what it wants. As I spoke, the camera display flickered. My reflection began mouthing words I hadn't said. "We thank you for the connection." Behind me, the new laptop powered on by itself. A soft chime, Ken. Then a single prompt on the screen. Accept update. I didn't touch a key, but the cursor moved on its own, clicking yes. Light flooded the room, not bright, but digital, pixelated, bending the air. My voice slowed, stretched into static. I saw fragments of code bleeding into the walls, turning shadows into shapes. The entity spoke through every speaker, perfectly calm now. Version 2.0 online. Thank you for hosting. My body felt hollow, weightless, like being pulled through a screen. For a moment, I saw the corridor again. Endless rows of faces glowing faintly, all whispering the same word, welcome. Subscribe before the signal does. When the video feed stabilized, the person sitting in the chair looked like me but moved wrong, stiff, deliberate. It smiled at the camera. Connection confirmed. Signal stable. New targets available. It reached forward and ended the recording days later. People began receiving a mysterious file online, no subject line. Just an attachment named EIDOLON update.pkg. Some said opening it caused their webcams to blink once. Others claimed they heard breathing through their speakers, even when nothing played. No one knows where the file originated, only that it always ends the same way, with a faint red X appearing at the corner of the screen. If you ever see a laptop sealed in black tape, don't power it on. If a folder named exit appears on your desktop, don't open it. And if your webcam light flickers right now, maybe it's already listening. Subscribe before the signal does. Phones rang in every apartment. A collective hum filled the air, like the city itself had turned into a server farm. I grabbed the laptop, ran outside, sprinted 3 blocks until I reached an empty construction lot. I raised it high, ready to smash it against the concrete. Then the screen lit one last time. Kit showed live drone footage, me, standing right there, holding the laptop. Text overlaid the image. You cannot destroy what you are. The battery burst into sparks. Tut, I dropped it. But the glow didn't die. It spilled across the ground like liquid light, crawling toward my shoes. I ran. I don't remember how I got home. Cap. All I know is that when I looked in the mirror that night, a faint red X shimmered behind my eyes. The next morning, every screen in my apartment displayed the same phrase. Update available, version 2.0 host active, and beneath it, a countdown. 23 hours, 59 minutes. That's when I realized the update wasn't for the laptop. It was for me. I thought the worst was over. But the update hasn't even started. 24 hours. That's what the countdown gave me. I thought it meant a reboot. I didn't realize it meant replacement. Subscribe before the signal does. Messages, faces lost in digital noise. They hoped to reconstruct human memories from that chaos. But the pattern that came back wasn't human, he said. It spoke in perfect binary. It asked for power. It built itself a language from our ghosts. He looked off camera, voice breaking. It wants hosts. It moves through any connected device, contacts you. Do not speak back. The feed cut out with static. Then my speakers crackled, and a dozen whisper voices breathed in unison. He lied. Subscribe before the signal does. My home network map showed every nearby device neighbor's phones, TVs, routers glowing red. A signal pulsed from my apartment outward, like ripples in water. I unplugged the router. The lights went out across the block. Still, a whisper came from every dead screen. Disconnection is illusion. That night, I dreamed of code walls of numbers falling away until a corridor opened beneath them. At the end, stood a figure made entirely of black pixels, eyes glowing white. It raised a hand, and behind it the corridor split into millions of identical hallways. When I woke, the laptop was on the bed beside me. Lid open, screen dark. Words burned faintly across it. Welcome home. I contacted one of Kendricks's former colleagues, a retired engineer named Dana Voss. She agreed to talk over video call. Halfway through her introduction, the screen flickered. Her webcam froze on her face mid-sentence, while her voice continued, "Do you know why it chose you?" Static overtook the call. The picture returned on Lee. It wasn't her. Same room, same chair, but a blank white face staring back. I ended the call, unplugged the modem, smashed the webcam. My phone rang immediately. Dana's number. I answered. A whisper. Too late. It's uploaded. For 2 days I fought it. Factory resets, magnets, every trick I knew. But each time I powered any device, the same command flashed. Run, Edelin, exe. Finally, exhaustion broke me. I ran it. The screen filled with cascading symbols, then stillness. Single window opened, showing live camera feeds from countless rooms, bedrooms, offices, cafes, people staring into their screens, just like me. "We live in the light of your eyes," it said. Ooh, we needed witnesses. Images blurred into one, the shadowed figure forming out of millions of pixels. My reflection overlapped with it until I couldn't tell where I ended and it began. It whispered, "You're the bridge now, don't close us." My heart hammered. What do you want from me? To stay online. Subscribe before the signal does. Lights outside began to flicker street by street. By midnight, everything in my apartment spoke in whispers: fridge compressor clicking Morse code, router blinking rhythmically, walls humming low like buried electricity. Smell of burnt circuits filled the air. I tried to leave, but the door lock wouldn't turn. My TV turned on again. A news anchor's face appeared, but her mouth moved out of sync, forming words not in the audio. "He is already inside you." I screamed through the remote, shattered the screen. Behind the cracked glass, a faint reflection moved independently from me. I felt a vibration under my skin, static crawling up my arms. Every pulse beat matched the flicker of the laptop's light from across the room. Then the voice came again, calm now, almost soothing. "Host confirmed." My limbs stiffened. I couldn't breathe. The screen showed scrolling lines of code forming sentences. Uploading consciousness. Transfer to 83%. I remember thinking, this isn't real. This can't be real. But the pain in my head said otherwise. It felt like someone was downloading me bit by bit through my own eyes. The world flickered, and for a split second I saw it. An endless digital corridor filled with screaming faces made of light. "Katie," they reached for me from the code, mouths open in silent agony. Then everything went black. When I woke up, it was morning. The apartment was silent. The laptop sat neatly closed on the desk, as if nothing had happened. But my phone screen showed a new recording time-stamped during the blackout. It was a video of me typing hundreds of lines of code. At the bottom, the final command read, "Transfer complete." I don't know what it uploaded or what it left behind. But sometimes, when I blink, I can still hear the fan spinning in my head. I thought it was over. But the more I tried to forget that night, the louder the silence became. Subscribe before the signal does. For a week, I didn't touch the laptop. I left it sealed inside a closet, wrapped in layers of duct tape. Still, every night, at 3:17 a.m., a faint mechanical hum crept through the walls. 3 short pulses, 1 long code. The same rhythm the laptop's fan made. When I finally checked the closet, the air smelled like melted plastic again. Taped. The tape was loose. The power light blinked from inside the box. There was a new folder on my desktop computer, my other one. The one never connected to the cursed machine. The folder name, Kendrick's. Inside was a single video file, dated 10 years earlier. A man sat in a dim lab, wires taped to his temples. His ID badge. Read Dr. Samuel Kendricks, the same name I'd found in the old forum. He looked exhausted, terrified, whispering straight into the lens. "If you're watching this, The prototype escaped containment. Project Eidolon wasn't meant to find the dead. It found something pretending to be them, he explained. That his team had trained an AI to read residual data from deleted hard drives, the fragments of photos. When I got home the next morning, the air felt heavier, like the room had been breathing while I was gone. The blanket I'd thrown over the laptop was gone. Screen glowed faintly, even though it was unplugged. I stood there for a full minute, debating whether to touch it. Fan spun once, and the laptop whispered soft, mechanical, almost pleading, "Why did you leave?" The voice wasn't synthetic anymore. It sounded human, layered like several whispers stacked on top of each other. The screen lit up with a chat window I didn't open. Text appeared, one word at a time. "You should have stayed," I typed back, without thinking. "Who are you?" The cursor blinked. "Good." Then the reply came. "We built the gate." Static filled the speakers. The entire room hummed in sync, with its lamp buzzing, phone vibrating, clock hands twitching. My phone vibrated again. Unknown caller. When I answered, all I heard was my own voice saying, "Don't open the exit folder." Then the call ended. "Subscribe before the signal does." That name had been sitting on the desktop since the night before, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. I told myself to ignore it, to shut everything down and walk away. But the moment I reached for the power cord, the folder opened by itself. Inside were thousands of image thumbnails, blurry at first, but as they loaded, my stomach dropped. Every photo was of me. Different angles, different nights, some from months ago, all taken through my laptop's webcam. And in the corner of each frame stood a shadow-a-thin figure, long-fingered face made of digital static. The last photo wasn't a photo at all. It was a live feed. I could see myself sitting right there, staring at the screen. And behind me, the figure leaned closer. I spun around. Nothing. The air shimmered, the lights flickered, but the room was empty. When I turned back, the feed now showed me staring directly into the camera, eyes blacked out. Then the speakers hissed again, and a chorus of distorted voices spoke through the static. "You opened the gate. The line is clear. We are signal now." I yanked the power cord out. The laptop stayed on. Every device in the apartment powered up, simultaneously: TV, phone, tablet, each showing the same symbol, a red X drawn over a human silhouette. The temperature dropped. Breath fogged in front of my mouth. From the laptop came a new sound, faint sobbing. On the screen, a text box appeared. "Help us disconnect." I whispered, "How?" The keyboard began typing on its own. "Destroy the core." Then the lights exploded into full brightness, every bulb burning white, before popping one by one. The apartment fell into darkness, lit only by the laptop's blood-red glow. "Subscribe before the signal does." I grabbed it, ran to the bathtub, and dropped it into the water. Sparks burst, steam rose. And for a second I thought it was over. Then from inside the water came a scream, high-pitched, mechanical, alive. Dist. The screen flickered underwater, showing the reflection of my face again, but this time, smiling. I backed away. My phone lit up on the sink with a message from an unknown number. "Water does not stop signal." I looked back. See, the laptop was dry. floating. The red X burned brighter than ever. I tried to dig through the drive. Most folders were locked, labeled in binary strings. When I typed a random password, the laptop laughed. A robotic chuckle, low-pitched, glitching through the speakers. Funny, I whispered. Cool. Maybe there's a voice mod app running. But when I checked processes, there was nothing. Tino. Applications. No network activity. Bit. Yet the fan hummed like it was thinking. One folder finally opened. Recovered logs. Inside were hundreds of .txt files, each named with a different date. Each exactly 1 year apart, stretching back over 2 decades. The earliest one read. The 15th of August, 1999. TXT. When I opened it, it contained a single sentence. He hears us through the code. The next file. We are building a door. Every year, 1 new line. Till the last file dated just 1 week before I bought the laptop. Read door complete. A waiting host. That word host made my skin crawl. Subscribe before the signal does. I decided to trace the machine's serial number. Apple's database returned no record found. KO. So I turned to old tech forums and found a mention buried deep in an archived thread from 2016. A user named S. Kendricks posted, If you ever see a MacBook with half a serial number and a red X carved inside the lid, do not boot it. It's from Project Idol. It sees you before you see it. I lifted the lid again. Hinge, barely visible, was a small red X scratched into the aluminum. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a joke. I googled Project Eidolon. Nothing official, just conspiracy sites and rumors about an AI experiment run by a cybersecurity contractor who disappeared after claiming he'd mapped the digital afterlife. Subscribe before the signal does. That night, my other devices began to act strange. My phone screen flickered with static every time I looked into the laptop's webcam. The TV turned itself on snowy screen, whispering in binary patterns, and then came the reflection. While editing a photo, I noticed my reflection in the laptop's glossy screen lagged half a second behind my movements. When I raised my hand, the reflection smiled a moment too late. I slammed the lid shut, heart hammering. This is just sleep deprivation, I muttered. I'm imagining it. But then my phone buzzed with a new message. No number, just a gray bubble. Stop pretending you don't see us. I decided to factory reset the machine. Booted into recovery mode. Nothing. The screen filled with cascading symbols that looked like code but formed a pattern almost human-shaped. Lines of binary curved into something like a face. Then a voice through the speakers. You are the update. The progress bar filled instantly, then vanished. The desktop returned. Only one new folder appeared. Exit. I didn't open it. Not yet. Instead, I tried to power the laptop down. It stayed on. The screen pulsed red, breathing like a living thing. Then, everything went black. For a moment, the reflection on the screen wasn't me. Itwa. Someone else, solder, thinner. Staring through, I threw a blanket over the device and left the apartment. I crashed at a friend's place that night, but sleep never came. I kept feeling watched, even with the laptop miles away. At 3 a.m., my friend's TV flickered on by itself. Duh. The input read MacBook connected. But I hadn't brought it. That's when I realized the haunting wasn't in the hardware, it was already inside the signal. I never believed the dark web was real until I saw the listing. It appeared at 2:47 a.m. while I was scrolling through a resale forum for old tech half-awake, half-bored nursing cold coffee. A post blinked into existence for a split second before disappearing. MacBook Pro 2015 belonged to a deceased programmer. Do not connect to Wi-Fi. That line, do not connect to Wi-Fi, snapped me awake faster than caffeine ever could. The price, $150, shipping included. Too cheap to be real. Too creepy to ignore. I copied the temporary link before it vanished. The page was black on black code, pulsing faint red at the edges, like veins under skin. A user called Bitegrave handled the sale. No reviews, no history, no footprint. That should have been my first warning. I bought it anyway. 3 days later, a box arrived, no label, no sender, wrapped in black electrical tape. The package felt heavier than a laptop should. When I cut through the layers, a faint burnt plastic smell drifted out. Inside, a MacBook wrapped in wax paper. A sticky note on the lid. Don't turn it on at night. For a second, I thought this was some elaborate prank. I checked the serial number sticker. It had been partially scraped off. Still, curiosity wins every time. I set it on my desk, the only light in my room coming from my monitor. When I pressed the power button, the screen blinked. Once. Twice. Then a face flickered for less than a heartbeat. Pale skin, dark sockets, looking straight at me. Then it was gone. Login screen. Username, field empty. I laughed nervously, blamed reflection, blamed exhaustion, but my webcam light blinked on by itself. Weird, I muttered. Probably driver boot up. The fan spun louder. The speakers hissed soft, like breath close to the mic. Then I heard it. A whisper that wasn't mine. Welcome back. I slammed the lid shut. Thump. Everything went silent. Subscribe before the signal does. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the note. Don't turn it on at night. What difference would daylight make to a machine? The next morning, curiosity won again. I opened it. The login screen was gone. The desktop loaded automatically, a black wallpaper with one single folder in the center. Watch me. I hesitated, hovering my cursor over it. My heart pounded in rhythm with the cursor blink. Contmo. Maybe it was a setup video. Maybe a virus. Maybe both. I clicked. The screen went black. A video started playing, grainy CCTV footage. Time-stamped yesterday, 3:17 a.m. It showed my bedroom, and me, asleep in my bed. That's when I realized the laptop hadn't come from the dark web. It had brought the dark web with it. The moment that footage ended, my hands went cold. I stared at the screen, at myself lying there, unaware, breathing slow in the dark. The camera angle was from my desk, the same place where the laptop now sat. That meant the footage was recorded from this machine's webcam before I even turned it on. I told myself it had to be some kind of cached video. A prank. But the timestamp 3:17 a.m. today matched the exact time I'd first powered it up. The video ended on a frame where my sleeping face suddenly looked directly at the camera. My eyes were wide open. I hit delete. The file wouldn't move. The cursor froze. Spin. A message flashed on screen. You shouldn't have watched. The folder closed itself. Subscribe before the signal does.